Hi there, I'm Scott Lowe with Actual Tech Media, and thank you for joining us for this Spotlight Series video. Today we're joined by Brian Banaszynski, who is Product Manager for DSM. Brian, thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Scott. I'm really glad to be here. Can't wait to go through this interview process.
Well, we're going to get started pretty quick. So I'm going to ask the standard Office Space question around what would you say you do here, and ask basically, what is DSM, who is DSM, what do you guys do?
Sure, thanks. So my role at DSM is product manager. So I get to shape the vision of DSM and the services we provide to our clients through our product. DSM, so a little bit more background on DSM and what we do. DSM is a cloud-based managed unified data management solution provider. We're located in Central Florida, and we service not only Central Florida, but also customers statewide. We started consulting and kind of grew into a managed services provider. And over the last decade, we've built a really strong private cloud solution or platform, along with a core focus on disaster recovery and data protection. Over the past few years, we've combined all those disciplines into a managed unified data management solution, or managed UDM for short.
So tell us more about Managed UDM. It sounds like it's a pretty comprehensive solution that you've built over a long period of time, but what does it do?
Yeah, thanks, Scott. So managed UDM is all about a couple of different things, right? So data availability, data portability, and data reuse. Those are like kind of the three kind of core values that we kind of wrap into that managed UDM solution. So from a data availability perspective, it provides enhanced ransomware protection. It can aid in migrations or from data center to data center. And it also has a really core focus on disaster recovery. So from a data portability perspective, that actually leads to availability, right? So being able to migrate data or systems from one cloud to the next, aids in that portability, along with the disaster recovery aspect of that solution. And then the final thing, data reuse. So imagine being able to add some additional value to your data. So you've got these systems or these servers that you're backing up in some fashion with today's technologies, and being able to spin up those environments for testing an application, or to support DevOps or CI/CD life cycles. So data reuse from that perspective is, I think, a key feature that people are missing in the data management space, and they can take advantage of that as well. And in the future, we're looking to provide analytics to enrich your data for your business, the data that your business already owns. And you could think of that in a couple of different ways, right? So either you could cut costs based on some of that analysis, or you could actually create a new revenue stream based on the analysis and the additional value that you could provide with that existing data set through the solution.
We've seen a big rise in the remote workforce capabilities and needs organizations around the world. What are some of the things that you can bring to bear to help organizations with their remote workforce strategy, and how does the platform you've created sort of help enable these sorts of remote workforces?
Sure. So it may sound cliche, but we're helping our clients do more with less. Scott, IT departments have been having to focus on things that they've not typically focused on in the past with regards to their day-to-day routines. And by providing our managed UDM solution, we can fill those gaps to ensure the safekeeping of their data and take care of related things, as an example, compliance. So, looking at this from a data perspective, we can provide that auditing or regulatory compliance for those purposes. And we are a CJIS compliant entity. We run a CJIS compliant data center. Our solutions are CJIS compliant as well. So we can also provide a deep technical understanding, needed to ensure your data is always available, right? So we talked about data availability just a second ago. The other thing that we can do from that perspective is maintain the operational integrity of your data. So if you think about that from a backup perspective or from a replication perspective, all those things build on that unified data management platform and our ability to provide that to you as a service. And the last thing, just interpreting that shared data responsibility model as it relates to public or private cloud providers. So that's I think that's a landscape that people don't always fully appreciate or understand. And our subject matter experts here at DSM are able to, guide you through that process and make sure that we're doing the best thing for you and your data to protect you in the long term.
Whenever we start talking about data, data management, and people having access to data, one of the natural things to think about is ransomware, because it locks up data in pretty bad ways. How do you help organizations protect themselves from ransomware with the UDM platform?
Yeah, sure. So, ransomware and attacks, malware, those types of things, and security in general, right? You always want to take a layered approach to those things. And so, our UDM solution kind of takes that layered approach, and we've got a couple of different ways that we can help protect your data from ransomware or those bad actors. First and foremost is insider threat protection, right? So that attack vector may not always be external; it may be internal. So you imagine you have a rogue employee or somebody that you just had to recently fire that has access to your systems, and on the way out they delete that data, those backups or your production data or those backups, whatever that may be, right? So one of the first layers of that protection that our solution provides is what we call insider threat protection. The next piece of that is advanced ransomware detection. So this kind of covers that external attack vector. And what we can do with our solution is provide additional multi-scan engines that are focused corely or specifically on your backups to scan those backups with those additional malware engines in the event and discover those in the event that your production engine actually, your single production engine that you use failed to catch those in your backups. And so what we can do is then proactively go back to a known good point in time and actually proactively restore dormant like files into a safe place if there was dormant ransomware or something like that sitting in your backups as well. Because oftentimes, as backups are often targeted in those ransomware attacks, and so that's another layer of security we have there. And then the last is immutability. And so immutability is gotten a lot of traction in the last year and a half, 2 years. And this is one of those features or functions from a data integrity perspective that can help both internally and externally. So immutability is basically, think of it as a worm, write once, read many. Once written, those backups can't be changed, altered, modified, or deleted by the user. That's all controlled by a policy. And so our unified data management platform kind of brings all those things together: insider threat protection, advanced ransomware detection, and immutability to safeguard your data. And in the event that you should get hit by ransomware, we have a means to recover.
When you think about all the customers that you have, if you have to think about a customer story that's your favorite, what would it be and why? I mean, how is it, how have you been able to help that company?
Sure. So we recently onboarded a city municipality onto our managed UDM solution, and I kid you not, within a couple of months, they were compromised. They were hit with a ransomware attack. That ransomware attack, those bad actors targeted their production systems and also their local backups. So their production systems were encrypted. Their local backups were encrypted as well. But fortunately, because they were using our UDM solution, we were shipping that local offsite backup to our cloud facility as an offsite backup. And we were able to very quickly ensure those offsite backups were not compromised. We were able to restore those systems into our private cloud and got their critical business systems up with minimal impact to the client. So, I talked about earlier, where DSM was and where we are today. And because of that infrastructure, because of our cloud solution, and all those special services that we provide from a disaster recovery and data protection perspective, as we're able to kind of take that, put it all together, and very quickly, minimize the impact to the customer or the client with regards to the ransomware attack that they experience. So I'm really kind of proud to have been a part of that from a product perspective, and shows real value in that solution.
Absolutely. I can imagine that would be satisfying and gratifying to see something that you've designed and built to actually have a real world, almost immediate benefit for a customer.
Really crazy that we had just onboarded them within a month or two, and then that happened. So I just hate to imagine how different that story would have been had they not been using that solution.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we've seen it play out in the papers. I mean, it's bad when it happens. So it's great that you guys were able to head that off before it got bad. And thank you for joining us today to tell us about what you're doing and the great things that your company's doing for your customers. And for our audience, if you'd like to learn more about DSM, you've got two ways you can do that. Number one, you can email hello@dsm.net, or you can visit their website at www.dsm.net. And thank you to our audience for joining us for this Spotlight video. If you'd like to see even more Spotlight videos or lots of other great content, please visit Actual Tech Media's YouTube channel at youtube.com/actualtechmedia. Thank you for watching.